And then what might seem really quite almost opposite, or certainly very different, is the teaching on feeding your demons. They were both teachings taught by the 11th century yogini, Machiglapjan, both Prajnaparamita and feeding your demons. I met this practice of feeding your demons when learning her practice called Chud practice. What you do in this teaching is you offer your body to that which you would most like not to offer it to. Demons are our addictions, our fears, our diseases. You scan your body, you feel where you hold that most strongly. You find the color of it, the texture and the shape. And then, in the second step, you imagine that whole sort of matrix of energy that you hold in your body around this particular demon comes out and is personified in front of you. And then you dialogue with this demon. You not only dialogue with it, but you become it. So you actually change places and become the demon and so on. And then eventually you dissolve your body into a nectar that then feeds the demon to complete satisfaction, and then the demon becomes an ally. What I think is important in terms of feeding your demons today is that we are a culture built on the myth of the hero's journey. In the hero's journey, you destroy the demon, you kill the demon, you vanquish the demon. Politically, we work in this model of subjugation. So we all have parts of ourselves that we struggle with, right? I didn't know that this would work in America for disease. And my first experience of this was with my friend Fred, who had HIV. He called me and told me he had AIDS. We worked with his HIV demon, which at that time was huge. It was as big as a house. I wanted to devour him slowly and painfully. He worked with it, and he fed that demon. So you might think, well, if he's feeding it, isn't it getting bigger? Isn't it getting to be like a mountain? But actually, what the paradox is that the fighting against the demon gives it strength. And meanwhile, he was in a test group, some of whom were getting AZT, and some were getting a placebo. And so he was getting the placebo, but of course he didn't know it at the time. But he was getting tested every 3 months, and that's why this has been documented, because he happened to be in the study. And so what happened was his T cells, which are his immune cells, which go down, way down when you have AIDS, and his were down to 0 when he started. They started going up and up and up. And the people who were testing him said, "What are you doing?" Because they knew he was getting the placebo. And with AIDS, sometimes you can stop it from going down, but it's very rare to be able to get the immune cells to go up, almost impossible. So his went up to 500 and then to 800, which is low normal. And they said, "What are you doing? You've got something, you've got to be doing something." And he said, "Well, I'm just doing a little meditation." They said, "Well, whatever it is, keep doing it." We are an energy system. We think of ourselves as a solid entity. There's me, and there was me 10 years ago, and it's the same me that that is here today. But that's not true. I'm not the same as when I began this sentence. The mind and the body are constantly interacting. Okay, so let's say you have a disease. It's gotten in there. It's eating you. It's living on you. And it's destroying you. So if you can isolate that, pull it out, find out what the fundamental need is that it has, and then feed it to complete satisfaction. Satisfy its deepest need, that entity of that disease, then it doesn't need to eat your body. However, the whole approach of feeding your demons is very different than our medical model, which is to fight the demon of disease, I guess you could say, in a simple way. So here, in a way, we're treating the disease with love and compassion. We're bringing it out, we're meeting it, and we're feeding it to complete satisfaction in that way that it doesn't need to feed on this matrix of energy we call me. If we saw the whole world as a being, as one being, with a lot of different parts in it, if there's one part that is causing problems in that matrix of being, of the whole world, then one approach would be to try to eliminate it, to annihilate it, to subdue it, to conquer it, in some way put it down, kill it. In the approach of feeding your demons, you would consider this a piece of the whole matrix that's trying to communicate. And so you would try to find out what the needs are of that particular group or that political faction or whatever it is. Even like the terrorists, I think the terrorists are trying to communicate something. We're living in a polarized world, which we have been living in. Then we would just tend to try to annihilate those factions. But what we see so clearly, and it was so striking because I was writing the book during the Bush administration, where there was this war, of course there still is, the war on terror, and there were studies coming out saying that we were less safe by a large percentage than we had been at the beginning of the war on terror, and that every time a terrorist was killed, at least 10 to 12 more appeared. And so this model that's suggested by this 11th century Tibetan woman is perhaps a more feminine model of feeding, not fighting. And what I've noticed is the more difficult the demon, the stronger the ally. Really the demons are much stronger when you're not dealing with them. If you think about your demons right now, like think about what they do, what they're taking from you. And imagine if all that energy was accessible as a positive supportive force, how much more energy you would have. So I think that's one way to think about what is a demon, is to think what's eating at you, what's taking your energy, and then you know what your demons are, and that is potentially then your ally.